Hello, everybody. My name is Zen, and welcome to the very first episode of Star Wars Rise of the Resistance, which is a tabletop RPG series we are doing based in the Fantasy Flight Star Wars rule set. In particular, we're using the Age of Rebellion rulebooks. Now, with that said, if you have no idea how to play the Star Wars system or what we're even talking about, I'll put a link in the description below that will lead you to our Rise of the Resistance playlist. In there, you'll be able to find, in one of the first few videos, a guide of how to play the game, and that way, it's a pretty short video, but that way you kind of understand the rules as we move forward, even at a basic sense. And then you'll also find our character creation. Now, we did character creation a couple months ago, and we've been planning this for a while. We actually had a game going previously that we called Shadow of the Empire, which is, if you were putting our games into a movie saga, it would have been episode 1. And our game takes place about 5 years before The Force Awakens. When Shadow of the Empire started, it was mostly an Edge of the Empire game, and ended with some pretty big consequences of things happening that are affecting the current game we're running in, because we're still in the same world. And the player's old characters still exist, but we'll probably not run into them anytime soon. So that said, the players have now rolled new characters that they're joining the Resistance with, and we're dealing with the fallout of all of that. Now, with that said, many of us haven't played the Star Wars system in quite a few months, and we're pretty rusty at it, so excuse us if we miss any rules or forget to put little things in there. We'll get it as we go. Don't worry about it. Don't harass us about missing rules or whatnot. But I did want to mention that we purposely did not roll Destiny at the beginning, which are these points that you use in the game. We rolled them later on, so don't angrily comment about that. I also ask that you be patient with our players and their characters. These are new characters, and they're kind of learning their way about these characters and what they'll do in certain situations and how their characters will respond. And that's not something you just pick up immediately by writing a backstory. No, this is more something that you learn over time. It's kind of like getting to know a friend. And I ask that you come on this journey with us of getting to know these characters and see them grow and evolve over time. And speaking of evolving, our series is going to evolve greatly over time as well. What I mean by this is that essentially we wanted to boil down the game into its bare essence of what it is, which is a couple dudes sitting around playing a tabletop RPG in the Star Wars universe. We didn't want to complicate it with a ton of technical stuff that didn't need to be there just yet. But in the future, we do plan on adding that. We do, plan on live streaming it and then uploading the VODs and then putting face cams in and improving audio quality and everything like that. But to start with, we wanted it to be as basic as it needed to be in order to, one, overcome any technical hurdles that we may come across, and two, just to keep it simple and give you guys what the series is at its essence. And one last thing before we jump into the game right away, and that is our players have individual talent trees for their characters. Obviously, each character has its own class, and the class has their talent trees. And if you go to the source books, which are like the expansion books, there's more talent trees that come in. Well, I've imported all of those into a Google Doc, and that allows them to basically fill out their talent tree, and it's all scripted so they're able to show what talents they have and what they don't. Now, I've put a link to these in the description of this video, and you can go and look at all of the characters' talent trees. You can't adjust them, you can't mess with them, so don't worry about that. But you do have a link so you can view it, and you can see all of the things that they're going for, or what talents they've taken in their individual trees. And obviously, as the series goes on, you'll be able to see more and more of this. Now, without further ado, let's get started. It's been 2 days since jumping into hyperspace after the battle over Ord Mantell, and you're on board Home 1, a massive Mon Cal capital ship, which was instrumental in fighting the Empire at the end of the Galactic Civil War, along with roughly 120 other Resistance recruits that are on board, but it's hard to kind of get an exact count since there's so many people on board. There's pilots, engineers, soldiers, people from different parts of the galaxy with various combat experience, ranging from veterans of the Civil War, such as our player 10 Ton, to teenagers who've never fired a blaster. Whether you're someone who's been helping the rookies kind of calm down after that battle or itching to get back in there yourself, one thing is for sure. The briefing that you're currently heading to better give you some information on what's going on. When you guys were called to join the Resistance, you weren't expecting to be immediately thrown into a giant space battle. There's about 30 of you slowly shuffling down this tight hallway, and you filter into a large circular briefing room. In the middle of the room is a hollow table with a map of the galaxy that's illuminating the entire room, kind of a soft blue light. And everyone quickly finds and, quietly finds a seat in one of the chairs that encompass the map and ascend slowly to the edge of the room in their theater-like seating. And there's a moment of silence, and someone, begins to shuffle kind of papers around, and it's kind of awkward. And then all of a sudden, the quiet's broken by the silver protocol droid shuffling into the middle of the room. And he says, "It appears the Major is late to the briefing. Please talk among yourself."
I'd like to turn to Crate immediately and be like, back in our day, we wouldn't be late to briefings, especially ones after seeing such heavy action.
I look at him, then look back to neutral and just nod.
Yeah, the droid just kind of stands there awkwardly.
I want to clap Crate on the back a little bit, like, you remember.
So you guys are clearly sitting next to each other. Where are you guys sitting in the room? Like towards the front, towards the back?
I would say mid to back. Because
Okay.
Definitely
I don't
mid to
exactly
back.
want to be, I don't want to be quite noticed or anybody point me out, but I want to be, I'm interested in the information.
Gotcha.
My arms are crossed in a don't approach me sort of way.
I'm messing with my holopad trying to get any more information out of, the holonets and any of the reports that have been filed thus far.
Gotcha. The room has kind of got some murmurs. Everybody's kind of chatting quietly like you guys are. Obviously, you two are sitting next to each other. Where's everybody else? Is there anything you guys like to do while you're sitting here waiting?
I want to be up front and ask the droid ETA on the Major's time.
The droid just
kind of be a little bit persistent.
The droid kind of awkward, it's stiffly turns to you. It's just I'm not sure.
Okay, but that doesn't tell me when the Major's coming.
Soon?
Okay, all right. All right, that's fine. Okay.
I'm also towards the front because I'm important.
You think you're important.
Exactly. So I'm trying to make sure there's light falling on me and towards the head of the table kind of thing.
I kind of glance over and I look at him trying to be front and center, and I don't know what to make of him, and I'm kind of eyeing him up and down.
Yeah, you would obviously notice this guy. He's trying to make it very obvious that
With
he is.
my big ass eyes.
Yeah, you and your
That you
stupid. I hate your face.
You didn't even meet me yet. God, the general's not even here.
All the atmosphere in the briefing room vents that it kills everyone.
Yeah, everybody suffocates.
His name's Rush. Right?
Anyways, yes.
Isn't that Six's name?
No,
No.
he's
Days.
I'm
he's
Days.
Days.
Oh, Days. Cal does
I'm
I'm
on.
Rush.
It's Dazin.
Yeah, Cal
Is it
does on.
Days on or Days?
Days and Guile.
Dazin.
Why
Yeah.
I uncross my arms enough to elbow 10 ton in the side and be just motion this guy and kind of roll my eyes.
Yeah, I want to be certainly wouldn't want him in my squad.
Right. So it's at this point that the door to the room opens and a white light, comes in, which is a little bit blinding because honestly, it's pretty dark in this room and it has been for several minutes.
I would like to lean over to Craig and be dramatic.
a larger man in a red jumpsuit, human, comes quickly walking into the room, and he's got short black hair, a 5 o'clock shadow. And he's just sorry, I'm late, everybody. As I hope you all know, there's a lot going on around here. I'm Captain Wexley. there's a lot to talk about, so let's get started. And he turns to the like map in the middle and he pushes a couple buttons and it's like switching through several different blueprints that it's projecting. You hear him go, nope, not that one. Aha. And the 3D representation of the Star Destroyer that you guys had just encountered a couple days ago pops up. And he points directly at it and just kind of looks in the room and goes, do any of you know what this is?
I raise my hand. I do, Captain. I do.
I mean, I assume I know what it is. Do we need to make a roll to know what it is?
I mean, it looks like a Star Destroyer from what you know. Actually, you know what? Why don't you make a warfare knowledge roll with 3 difficulty, if you could. Meanwhile, Alex. Meanwhile, he does. Okay, so
I didn't. Hang on.
Yeah, you need to add it in your dice pool up at the top.
Sorry, I thought adding it to the dice pool would also.
Nope.
Use my skill. So we got a note for everyone else. You have to add the amount of dice in your skill to the dice pool as well.
Indeed.
No, wait. You could just add to the dice pool and then click the skill, right?
No,
Yes.
I tried that.
Okay, so it looks like a Star Destroyer to you. It's big, but you don't notice anything in particular about it.
Yeah, I don't know the model or anything.
Yeah.
Would have blown a couple up.
But he does. Who was up at front asking about? Or
I was.
Or were you?
He was.
So he turns to Nuke, and just goes, you. What is this?
That's the ship we're gonna blow up.
I mean, that's not wrong. One day. Anyone else?
Why not today?
Anyone else? He's kind of looking. Someone in the back just like doesn't even raise their hand. Just goes, "Is it a Star Destroyer?" He goes, "No." Well, yes, but no. It's what we all thought at first too, but we've had time to analyze it. It's a much improved version of the old Star Destroyers. In fact, you'll notice, and he pushes a couple more buttons, and another old Star Destroyer pops up next to it, and it's huge in comparison. And he says it's almost twice the length. You guys, we got lucky. I don't mean we as in everyone on the ship. I mean we as in the entire galaxy. We should have lost that battle by all means. And just before all the TIE fighters were recalled, maybe you guys have noticed there was an explosion on the ship. It was coming from one of the docking bays. There was a group of mercs that were trying to escape Ord Bentel, and the tractor beam from the Star Destroyer was trying to pull it in. They jumped into escape pods and left someone behind to overload the reactor of the ship to blow it up. It's crude, but I mean, it worked for us. So just before the explosion went off, though, we got a data burst. Home 1 received a data burst from within the Star Destroyer, and in it was the name of the ship and some information about it. Firstly, it's called the Finalizer, which, full disclosure, is terrifying to me. Secondly, I'm not going to bore you with the details here. It's extremely powerful. It basically violates all of the New Republic treaties that were signed at the end of the Civil War. And we're basically up against a ship that is 100 years more advanced than ours currently. And that's not all. Let me bring you to the grand finale of this entire thing. The TIE fighters, they look familiar, right? There's kind of like a murmur, like, yeah, they were definitely TIE fighters. And he pushes a couple more buttons. The Star Destroyer disappears. 2 TIE fighters pop up on the overlay. Turns out, these are also more advanced. I mean, no surprise there. Same concept, fast, agile, extremely dangerous, just like the old ones. However, it appears that the people in charge of these have a higher regard for their pilots than the Empire did. They've added more power and deflector shields, so they're going to be much harder to kill than before. So for any of you people who've fought TIE fighters before, don't underestimate these. They can wreck your day. Oh, and if it didn't get any worse, there's also this special version of the TIE. You'll know it from the dark paint job and the red marking on the cockpit. From what we can tell, they've added a gunner position in there with a rotating laser turret, so be careful if you're ever chasing one of these down in combat, because they can now fire back at you while running away faster than you are. And there's like murmuring in the room. And the guy in the back's like, well, how do you expect us to fight these things? And the captain goes, yes, about that. We were not been sitting on our loins this entire time over the past few years. We're actually been up to something too. You see, The New Republic has been working on these X-Wings, the T-70s, to replace the T-65s. Many of you have probably seen them. And he pushes a button again. T-70 pops up. There's like a few oohs and ahs. These will rival any TIE fighter we've seen here today. Unfortunately, they won't be widely available anytime soon. Most of you will have to settle for old T-65s until we get more of these in the field. But until then, we're going to try our best to avoid direct encounters with these guys. Now, the Resistance has been skirmishing these people for over a year now. The General discovered them a couple years back. Most of you remember hearing about her leaving the Senate. That said, they've been hard to track, even harder to get information on. What little information we have is what they call themselves as the First Order, and they're some zealot remnant of the old Empire, we think. Unfortunately, we don't know where they're operating out of. More importantly, we don't know where they're building these ships at. That's our mission, folks. We need information. We need to find out where their bases are, who they're working with, and how they're funding their research, etc. You get the idea. We also need to be careful with who we talk to, because Command believes that these people have been infiltrating organizations. Don't go just walking into a shipyard asking for the First Order. It's a bad idea. Now, outside of the briefing room, there's a hollow screen on the wall in the hallway. On it has all of your assignments. Many of you will be assigned to different ships or bases, depending on your experience and what those people need. We're going to arrive at Dakar in a couple days. Once we get there, those of you who are assigned elsewhere will be transferred out with basic transport ships. You'll be assigned the missions once you're there. Now, is there any questions? Anyone?
Captain?
Yes, you.
Can I have one of those new ships?
One day, son. Maybe if you, take out a few ties yourself, you might get upgraded sooner. That's not a promise to anybody. Nobody accept that as a promise.
I'll keep track just for you, Captain.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'd like to raise my hand for this one.
He kind of puts like a hand up. They like cover his eyes to kind of see through the darkness and sees you. It's like, yes, you.
Captain, or do we know of any particular weaknesses in these new models? I mean, we've skirmished with them a little bit, but do we have any useful tactical data involved?
That's a good question. They seem to be the same weaknesses as the old ties. They're very fragile. They're quick, and they're going to jump around you and run circles around you, but they're fragile. If you can get a good hit off on them, they should go down quickly.
Typical, I guess, problem with the old ties that I seem to notice was that they had a lot of shear force applied to them in atmosphere. Is that something that we can probably expect from these as well?
Possibly. Oh, and one more thing about the special ties. They've installed hyperdrives on them. So normally when you see a TIE fighter, a ship or a base isn't too far off. These things only have a couple days of supplies on them, but the new TIE fighters, the special ones, they can jump in and out of systems, so be aware. If you see one of those, it doesn't necessarily mean there's a base nearby.
I want to salute him and say, thank you, sir.
Kind of nods. He goes, okay, if that's all, I got to go back to command. And he kind of bows and he starts walking out, and the door closes behind him, and the droid is just kind of awkwardly shifting, and then everybody starts kind of getting up and working their way out of the room. Do any of you go outside, or are you staying inside the room?
I'd like to stand up next to Crate and be like, back to work, hey buddy.
I stand next to him and just nod my approval.
It's just like the old days, huh?
We leave.
You guys walk out. Do you go to the hollow screen?
Yeah.
I want to run outside to the hollow screen.
Because you're anxious. You want to get out there. Your character in particular is a little bit more anxious than everybody else. He's more of a hotshot, I think. So you go out there, Nuke, and you see, you kind of look through the 40 or 50 people that are on this. A lot of these people weren't necessarily in that room with you, and you've seen that you and about 8 others have been assigned to a ship called the Insurrection. On it, a couple names pop out because there's some engineers, and they're just the lowest cadet. They're new recruits, but a couple people with actual rank are on there. There is a senior trooper, Nebeta. There is a Trooper Crate. There's a Trooper Bazoo, which is basically just kind of like the lowest rank in the army or the special forces, depending on which part you are. Then you, as a light cadet, are there, and there's a Deckman Dazon. And the rest of you come out, and you're all kind of like gathered around. And I would say at this point, you guys all kind of realize, like, oh, we're like the last ones left. We're just kind of like looking at the screen. Do any of you acknowledge each other?
My, I guess what I can only assume is multiple hearts are kind of beating a little quickly. And I look over to Crate, made it all the way to Senior Trooper.
Yeah.
It is unsurprising for one with leadership experience.
You would think after all this time, they probably would have put me at the very bottom to work my way back up, but I guess I've still got cred somewhere along the line.
The Resistance is surely in need of more commanders.
Now, Rush, Nuke, and Daze, you're all hearing this. These guys are right next to you. And the pictures, by the way, are next to the people on the thing. So you can see that these are all the people who have been assigned to the same ship.
I want to like look over at Crate and then look at the board and then look at everybody to my right.
There's the three
and,
people awkwardly standing
suddenly
there.
realize that like they're the only 3 people left.
And I was trying to play it cool until I saw that you're kind of an officer. Now I'm like, oh shit, I'm not the hot shit anymore.
And I'm just a deckman trying to fit in, make sure nobody notices me.
It's got a wig on.
Am I like 11 from Stranger Things? Is that what?
Oh, jeez. Now, you'll know, the rest of you, that a deckman is part of the Navy. Troopers are usually part of the Army or the Special Forces, and a cadet is part of the Starfighter Corps. So you can, just based on ranks alone, you can kind of get an idea of people's specializations.
Okay.
I want to go really straight back and be like, Senior Sir, reporting for duty, sir.
I kind of look down at him. Insurrection, huh?
Yes, sir. That's going to be our ship, sir.
Oh gosh, you're going to be so annoying, aren't you?
You're going to hate him more than me. This is going to be great.
Yeah.
Just for a little bit.
Nuke is the first one to die.
Notes. Nuke is light cadet.
Yep.
Eddie's cadet.
Thank you, sir.
I had to take notes too.
Man.
Just as a note, when you guys gain ranks, you will do that by going up in your duty score. For, in particular, Alex, your rank will always be 1 above everybody else.
I'd like to kind of extend my hand to everybody and say, Senior Trooper Nebeto, pleasure to meet you.
Nobody takes his hand.
No, I'll step up and shake his hand. Trooper Bazoo, at your command. Pleasure to meet your acquaintance, sir.
Glad to have you aboard.
Now, for the sake of brevity, a couple days pass. Do any of you interact with each other? Do you start... Because there's plenty of open areas that you all have been sleeping in. Like, they haven't assigned you quarters. So are you guys, like, starting to congregate together now that you know that you've been assigned together? Or are any of you more of the type that keeps the rest of his squad at, like, distance, so that way he's not making any connection, just in case they die?
For the couple days that we're doing this, I'm gonna try and look through everybody's like dossiers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not like directly interacting with people unless they like come to me to like talk specifically, if they're like seeking me out, and like
Right.
I'll be jovial and kind to that. So if anybody's like wants to come interact with me specifically, but I think I'll be kind of sequestering myself because I'm kind of working things out. I'm like, okay, I'm trying not to like panic a little bit. I have a squad under me again. I need to like find that footing.
So what's your history? Did you lose a squad before?
Yeah, the crate is the remaining remnant of my previous squad, and we lost the whole squad minus crate in an operation, and I had taken it very hard, even though it was an overt victory for the Resistance and for the Republic. For me personally, it felt like a very intense loss.
To interject there, Rabble, he's a deck min, not a deckhand.
I got it. I'm taking notes in a separate document.
Yep. Okay. So, a couple days pass. You guys get to know each other a little bit more. Probably a little bit more comfortable around each other.
Yeah, I'm definitely a socialite, so I'm trying to hang out with everybody.
What are you doing in this time in particular? Are you like trying to like get information out of people?
Yeah, I'm just trying to be friendly and just be open, and hopefully people will want to be closer to me. Yeah, just that's the best way of getting people to divulge things, is to be friendly and get them to come to you. So it's my current game plan. Not nefariously, but just being pleasant, and also I've been a socialite my whole life. So
like being really respectful.
What race are you again?
Natulan. Nathalan. I don't. That's
I wanna
probably
go
more
ahead and-
What
correct.
is Tulin? Who is that like?
It's like the
Face tentacles.
with face
Okay.
tentacles. No, it's more like
Well, head tentacles.
back head tentacles with big bulgy eyes. It's like the Jedi that does the force push in episode 2.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Okay. You know, it's funny about that is you're trying to be like really, you know, calm and collected with them and kind of like be as pleasant as you can. You guys, like over the course of this 2 days, realize that your entire group is alien, where many other groups are primarily human. Not that was, you know, assigned that way. It was just like, you know, it stands out.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of like
I noticed right away.
it's kind of like being in Chinatown and realizing you're the only white guy there.
I mean, I get this all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm used to this.
I'm not a fan of the race of your character. I'm just gonna keep coming back to that.
What race is he?
Arcana.
Arcana. I'm pretty
Arcana?
sure
Arcana.
from what we can tell, that in the part with the Force Awakens where it's like, it's kind of like Rey's like walking off into the distance over the sand, and that little like alien pops up and it's like, no, it's BB-8, and goes Bashuta. And then like that's the transfer.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
That
so-
one was addicted to salt. We're not going to talk about that guy.
Oh gosh. So a couple days later, you guys are inside the docking bay of this ship, one of the many docking bays of the ship, and you board a small transport craft. And there's several open seats on, you know, either side against the walls of the cargo hold, and there's several large cargo containers filling the space kind of in between. Five other people are boarding with you. They look like newly recruited staff. After kind of getting settled in, the ramp closes behind you guys, and a moment later, you guys kind of begin to lift and quickly leave the hangar of the ship, and it's a pretty clear shot to the cockpit. Like, you guys are able to see out fairly easily, and you're able to see where you're headed. So you fly past, you know, several transport ships, just like the one you're on. You see the planet of Dakar off to your right, and you know some of these transport ships are coming, and some of them are going. Some of them you're passing much faster than they're going. They look like they're kind of heading down to the planet. And at first, it appears you're just flying to darkness. But if anyone wants to make a perception check with 3 difficulty, you can go ahead and do that now.
Going for it.
I'll take a shot also.
Taking shots already, huh?
It'll be interesting
Nice.
to see who's the most perceptive out of all of you, dice-wise. Oh, you didn't add the 3.
I think didn't upgrade.
Yeah. So you're not adding the difficulty. We have to. Or is that be a?
We have
Yeah,
to do it now.
you're going to do it yourself. So just add it to the dice pool. But those of you who succeed, you're looking at this darkness that you're flying to, and it's kind of hard to. It looks like darkness, right? But it kind of looks like a cluster of stars when you look closer that are moving in the darkness. And you kind of try to focus in on it before you realize those aren't stars. Those are lights from a ship. Usually it's much easier to spot a ship in space, but this is it's in the dark side of the planet. And all of a sudden the ship begins to exit the darkness. It's like the light from the sun starts illuminating the front of the ship. And it's a Nebulon B frigate that you're heading toward. It's matte black paint job. which causes it to almost disappear to the naked eye when not in direct sunlight. And the lights from on board the ship are what's causing it to look like, a star field behind it. So to give you an idea of what it looks like.
I want to be like, give like a low whistle, and be like, damn.
Hot.
Anti-reflective coating. Probably
I would love to
work
fly
right
that
out,
one
too.
day.
I just stand in
See what
awe
kind
at
of moves
it.
they can pull.
I wonder who's on board there. They're trying to hide.
So,
I'm trying to hide the fact that I'm drooling a little.
I mean, you're probably always drooling. That's a character trait I've just added, damn it.
Oh, duh.
But after approaching, your ship enters a cargo bay at the front of the ship. Now, the Nebulon is long and it's tall. There's obviously the skinny areas in the middle, but you're kind of moving towards the tall front part of the ship, where one of the cargo or the docking bays is. And you land pretty gently, and the cargo bay opens up. The ramp comes down, and a couple like loader droids come in and start grabbing cargo and moving it off. And the pilot gets into the cargo hold from the cockpit, and you can see that on him he's got a resistance badge, and it's the rank of captain. And he just says, "Welcome to your new home, boys. Let's go meet the dear colonel," before he starts getting impatient again.
Do we have like a troop name or number yet?
Not yet.
For us?
Do you guys get up and follow him off the ship?
Yep.
Yeah,
immediately
definitely.
unstrap.
So as you guys follow him, there's a man he's dressed in officer service uniform, just pretty much standing there with, patiently with his arms behind his back, and he's standing up straight. And the captain that walked off the ship kind of walks up, and the colonel in front of him goes, "Captain," and he goes, "Colonel," and they kind of stand next to each other. It's kind of like this awkward pause, and then the colonel looks at you guys as you're coming down the ship and goes, "Welcome to the insurrection, recruits. I'm Colonel Anderson. If you'll follow me, I'll take you to your living quarters on this deck. There's much to discuss, and you'll be briefed on a mission shortly. Now, there's some information we like to say to all of our new recruits here. The insurrection is my ship. I've got 2 rules here. Don't blow my ship up. Don't get anyone on board killed. Follow your orders. Neither of those will happen." The insurrection itself got its name, and you guys are like walking out of the cargo hold with him, or the docking bay. And you're kind of like taking a right and going up this long hallway. It's well lit in here. But he says the insurrection got its name when it came into Alliance control at the end of the Galactic Civil War. The Imperial crew on board led an insurrection at the time against the ship's officers and defected to the Alliance. Only a handful of those people still remain on board, but we like to tell this story to people because it reminds us all that the enemy we're fighting are just people like us. Some of them don't necessarily know what they're doing or want to be doing what they're doing, so maybe they'll defect. Don't just go shooting everybody you come across. The insurrection has been used as a deterrent ship for the past 20 years, stopping smugglers and gang wars in the Outer Rim, and the Republic recently retired the ship, so we joined the Resistance at the request of General Organa. Our mission is clear: scouting, mobilizing, resource acquisition. We're severely understaffed, so we won't last long in a real battle. Now pick a room and meet Captain Anderson in the briefing room up ahead. And the captain just like keeps walking past where you guys are. Now I'm going to move you to a map. And you're going to be in the cargo hold. Let me move you guys down to there. Boop. So that's the transport ship you just came into.
What is this, Nintendo 64?
That's the transport ship you guys just came into. And essentially you've gone out this door and gone right. So you guys can feel free to kind of explore and go north to where you guys currently are, where we last left off. Essentially, right where you are at now, Nuke and 10 Ton and Rush, those are all the quarters. Any open quarter is available for you kind of to choose which one you want. 10 Ton is only allowed to take one of the bigger ones. He could take one of the little ones if he wants, but the rest of you can only take one of the smaller quarters down these hallways. So I'll kind of give you a minute for you guys to kind of figure out which one you want. It'll be kind of your permanent residence. Any
And
open
the
one is
bridge
available.
is like up here.
That is a briefing room up there.
Which direction is it to like the bridge?
The bridge is not on this level. There's about like 40 or 50 decks, and you're on one
Gotcha.
of the upper ones. The bridge is on a lower deck.
Where's the closest stair/elevator?
The elevator is all the way to the south. There's kind of like turbo lifts.
Is this a double
Oh,
room
I
up
see.
here? What's this?
No, there's not a double room. I'm kind of like giving everybody a chance to go and look. Anything that's open is free for you to explore. Everything that's closed is kind of like locked, or you probably shouldn't be going into those yet.
So is the room I'm in one of the smaller rooms?
No, that is a big room. If it's 3x3, it's a big room. If it's 2x3, it's a small room.
Oh, so I
Okay,
can
I
only
got
get
my
one of the
room.
small rooms.
One of the small ones, yeah.
Alright, I'm standing in front of my room so people know.
What are you picking, 10 ton?
I think I'm going upper left up here.
Keeping in mind that you guys can't see each other's line of sights, right?
No.
I'm in front of. Well, I could see.
You can see where
Like,
people
yeah,
are when you
my
come
line of
across them.
sight,
Yeah.
Yeah, like top row,
10 ton,
upper
there's
left.
a second row bottom right here. Second row on the bottom is a bigger room, probably more befitting someone of your rank. Like go to where I am, then go south.
There's bigger rooms up here too, David.
Yeah, there's a couple big ones. This one down here.
10 ton, you deserve the bit larger room so you can strategize more comfortably.
I mean, there's two big ones, but I can take bottom right down here too.
Well, let me know what you pick, because I'm probably going to pick the room next to it.
Should know if there's one. Yeah, there isn't one in the upper left or the bottom right, but you could pick.
I guess that is the same side. You're right, I'm probably going to take some middle row, far left.
You can take middle row, mid right, or far right, and that would be close to.
Or
Another
middle
one,
middle
yeah.
row on the far left is a big room just below his. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, middle row, far left. Yeah.
Boom.
Would work.
All right. What about Daze and Nuke?
Oh, I got mine. I'm standing.
Oh, I'm standing in front of my room. I'm
Walk
standing in
into
front
it,
of
and then I'm gonna
Oh,
screenshot it so that way I know which
I'll
rooms
just
are
take
yours.
this one then, if no one's over here.
I will. Boop. Thank you. All right. If you guys will go back into the hallway, down the middle hall, as you go south is where the turbo lifts are, but that's not where you're headed to. You're headed pretty much straight north. There's a briefing room like right in the center there. The door's available for you to get through. There's like signs all over the place telling you where all of this is, and there's a ton of closed doors around this center area up here that kind of like loops around as it gets to the fore part of the ship. Front part, rather.
If I could put my feet up on something, I do.
I mean, it is basically like a chair with a desk in front of you. The desk has like a computer with ship systems that you can kind of like access and stuff like that for information. So
I click right in, just start scrolling through information.
Yeah, put my feet up and just like kind of like lazily start checking out ship specs and stuff.
yeah, it's just
Doing
like
the same.
a lot of it is locked off from these consoles. Like you can't like be like, hey, how many people are on board? You know, that kind of thing. That's for security reasons. But what is there? It's like, what's the food in the mess hall today? And it's like, some Corellian jam spread on like a garlic bread. You're like, oh, that sounds kind of weird. But there's a lot of that kind of information.
Can I make a computer's check to slightly hack it to get more information,
Yes, it would be.
or to just like change my access rating so I could access more like higher classified levels of information?
Go ahead and do it and add 3 difficulty.
That's
and
the
one-
purple one, right?
Yeah, and 1 black. And the reason you have a setback is this stuff is monitored. So if you're It's
Nice try.
just you kind of like try a few times with a few passwords, you know, and you keep getting the bang, 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 and then all of a sudden a thing pops up and just locks out that console you're on.
Okay, before anyone else comes in, I'm just gonna get up and walk.
You just like go to
Sit
another
down.
one, like whoops. Nice. So a couple minutes later, you guys are kind of like going through these computers. The man walks in, the captain from before, the guy that flew you guys here. Captain Anderson is his name, and he says, "Hello, recruits. I know you haven't really had a chance to really acquaint yourselves with our lovely ship here, but we're going to be sent on a mission almost immediately, and it shouldn't be too difficult, but don't go getting yourselves killed. The colonel will kill me if I lose this recruit," he kind of says under his breath. And actually, why don't one of you make a hard perception check? Hard being 3.
Hard being 3.
I'll do it.
Got it. What do you got? 3 in perception?
Yeah, but also I'm like all about reading people.
Gotcha.
Already done did it, guys.
Ooh, 3 blanks.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good roll.
Yeah, lucky.
You two recognize, I mean, you saw them standing right next to each other, and kind of the way that he's talking, you get that Captain Anderson is Colonel Anderson's brother. Like, it's very clear that they have that kind of relationship. And earlier you kind of noticed that the colonel was trying to kind of be friendly, but it looked like, one of those older brothers that just doesn't quite agree with what his younger brother does, that kind of thing, you know? Yeah, you guys all pick up on that.
Captain and Colonel and Dama.
That's pretty close, yeah, actually. That kind of relationship is almost exactly what this is. But he says, are you guys familiar with a system called Polis Massa? Anyone?
No, sir.
I want to be like Polis Massa. My God.
Oh yeah, my family used to vacation there all the time.
Oh, yeah. If any of you want to try to recall any information about Polis Massa, you can try a Outer Rim knowledge check.
Difficulty?
3.
Can I make a deception check to like make something up?
Yeah, absolutely. It would be another 3.
Oh.
That was too many. Hang on.
Oh, did you add green to it?
Yeah, there was.
Jeez! Rush knows exactly how he's gonna, like,
How do you pronounce it again?
Polis Massa.
Oh yeah, Colas Nassau. My family owns
Nailed it.
Amazing.
a beach villa on there because
Oh, no.
I know they have some strife out in the backwoods, kind of the dingier areas of the planet, but there's some nice resort areas that are protected by the local military force and some really good security droids. Yeah, I've been there a couple times.
He looks genuinely...
Polis.
He looks genuinely surprised, kind of like, huh? And he goes, I didn't know asteroid fields could have a resort. You're going to have to show me that. It's interesting, though. I mean, like, I mean, if your family found a good spot out there, I didn't know these people were kind of like that.
Oh yeah, we can pass you the recommendation. I'll get you a name later.
I mean, maybe after this mission, we can go and, hang out while we wait for the insurrection to get back to us.
We'll check it out.
Interesting.
Yeah, check it out.
He stiffly turns back around to the middle console. But it looks like he believed you. He just kind of like looks at everybody else and goes, it's an asteroid field where people have the same name. They've set up home there. The Republic relies on the Polis for medical research. They're a key asset in helping us keep our limited personnel alive. And let me tell you, that is very important to us at the moment. They've recently requested help from the Republic, but they're not sending anyone out there for several months, bureaucratic nonsense and all that stupid crap. But that's why we've decided to intervene as the Resistance. You see, there's ships going missing in the system, and they haven't been able to determine out how or why, and they sent us this. And he kind of takes his data pad, and he plugs it into the holo projector in the middle of the room, and a holoclip springs to life. It's camera footage from one of the medical transports that went missing. It shows a swath of empty space with some asteroids tumbling in the distance, and in the top right of the holo, you guys see another transport. So far, this appears to be just, some footage of an uneventful trade route, but there's like murmur from there's a couple other people in the room with you. There's murmur from them, and you kind of get like a tense, anxious feeling as you kind of all stare into this holo waiting for something to go wrong. And there's no sound. And suddenly the second transport just erupts into a ball of fire, and it just like violence of it all grasps everybody, and a couple people kind of jump back in their seats, and shrapnel cracks against the remaining transport. The stars begin to blur as it tries to take evasive action, and green blaster fire just goes flying past it. And then the footage stops abruptly, but not before something else flashes across the camera field of vision. And the captain backs the footage up slowly, pauses it, and there floating above the briefing table is something small, dark, and freighter-sized, or fighter-sized, rather. And there's just enough light, to make out some details. There's some triangular S-foil or solar collectors on it, and what appears to be like a truncated cone-shaped cockpit. And he says, it's your mission to investigate what the heck is happening there and get to the bottom of it. I'm guessing some pirates got their hands on some old starfighters and are trying to get a big score from the Polis, but, you can't really be too sure. I'll be going with you guys. However, I'm just there to pick up medical supplies. We're going to be taking that transport we were in earlier. So if you guys need any help and you get into some trouble, I won't be able to assist. That thing's not ready for combat. And if you need anything, you call back to the insurrection. This man here, and he points at one of the men that came in with you. He says, this is Ensign Mikhail Krakashev. We all hate saying his name, so just call him Ensign. And the guy just kind of like has a smile, and then the smile kind of fades a little bit. But he stands up and kind of like curtly bows. He says, he's our mission operator here on the ship. He'll be your point of contact between the ship and command, so you'll want to contact him if anything goes awry or you need anything. I'll be out of range once you're in the asteroid field itself. My comm will only be short distance. You can get a hold of the ship pretty easily from the comms on your ships or your personal comms themselves. And when we arrive, you'll escort us to the main research base. From there, you can get any information or go out on patrol. It's kind of up to you. And everything you do is really up to Senior Trooper Nabetta here. Is there any questions before you're dismissed?
No, sir.
Just kind of like turns, nods, and goes, all right, I'm going to go prepare. We have a few hours travel to get to the Polis massage system. Go get your stuff. And he just kind of like turns on a heel and starts walking away.
I kick my feet down. I want to go like introduce myself to our ensign.
You walk up to him. He's kind of like shy a little bit.
Like stick out my hand. Ensign Falton Nabetta, though they call me 10 Ton. It's good to meet you.
It's nice. It's nice to meet you. And he's like
It'll be our life.
He's a human, but he's wearing like glasses. He looks more like a scientist than an ensign, but
It'll be our lifeline out there. Trusted a lot of operators like yourself over the years.
He goes, you can trust me. I'll make sure that you guys get back to the ship or get anything you need for that matter.
We appreciate your hard work out there.
He's kind of like curtly bows again. What are the rest of you doing?
I would want to do one more thing. I want to like lean in close and be like, and if there's any like drinks or anything on the ship that we could maybe take with us, that information would be vital to our mission success.
he kind of like leans back and you see an eyebrow go up and he goes, I don't think I can get you that. You'll have to go down to the mess hall.
I like nod and clap him on the back.
Like, good boy.
Thanks again, Ensign.
Are any of you else doing anything, or are you kind of all gonna go get prepared?
I'm gonna go set up my model.
Okay.
My model kit in the spare room over here.
Okay.
Where I tinker with things while I'm getting ready for the mission.
What is your model kit?
It's just a TIE fighter.
Okay.
You know,
That's pretty cool. Do you collect models? Does Nuke is he a modeler?
Nuke does collect models. He does try to collect little toys. This one you can tell is really old. It's got a lot of scratches, but I'm tinkering with it, adding like a little gun here and there and some more engines and changing it how I see fit.
Space weathering, a couple blaster burns.
Yeah, it's got some scratches and stuff here and there. You can tell it's old, but just something to mess with.
You're gonna take my carbine apart and put it back together.
You know, typical soldier things.
Correct.
Cool. Well, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, you guys can travel to Polis Masam.